Welcome to Roll for Geekiness. I'm Jonathan of Tigerfire Studios.
And I'm Amanda of At Villainous by Night.
And we just went to Fandom Fest 2023 in Schenectady, New York.
Schenectady.
Schenectady. So, what do we think of Fandom Fest?
So first off, Fandom Fest is a 2-day festival. It's held at the Proctor's Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there just for part of the Saturday. So that's what we'll be able to...
Most of the Saturday.
Okay, most of the Saturday. And so that's what we'll be mostly able to comment on. I feel like that caveat's important.
Yeah, so the Proctor's Theater is a theater. So unlike a lot of other venues, there was actually a stage and auditorium seating and stuff, which they used for the cosplay contest, at least. I think maybe a couple of the other events too. So that was a really unique feature of this venue. You don't see that in a lot of other venues. And I think they did take good advantage of that. But also being a theater, I think the rest of the space that was available to them was a little maybe oddly arranged compared to other venues we've also been at too. The flow was interesting. There were weird rooms off to the side here, or you had to go upstairs to get to the thing. So it was hard to get a sense of how many people were there over the course of Saturday. I'm saying 400 or 500. Amanda thinks maybe a little bit more. It was really hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because I said, the space was really kind of broken up. And so that made it feel like maybe a smaller event than it was. That said, like you said, this is the second year of the event. It's hard to say how big it is. But for the second year of the event, they got in some pretty good guests. Mm-hmm. We had Alan Tudyk, Summer Glau,
David Barclay, Todd...
Habercorn, that one. And Adrian Paul. So yeah, not too shabby for... and then they also had a bunch of comic book artists that were there too and doing some events for them. But yeah, those were the big name guests, I think, so to say.
There was also, whose name is escaping me now, but there was a makeup artist who does special effects makeup.
Yes. And unfortunately, the name is escaping us because she was set up in a completely different area and was doing stuff all day, and nowhere where she was there her name.
And she was set up near the vending, actually.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Vending. Yeah, to say she was set up near the vending is interesting because there were a lot of vendors at this event. And while there was a vendor room that was one of those rooms that I mentioned kind of off to the side, they also had a lot of the vendors lining the main hallway, which was pretty wide and tucked into a few other spaces. And there was an artist alley. Yeah, there were kind of a lot of people tucked into a lot of places, selling their stuff, and there was a good variety. But yeah, I think maybe a little bit more than we might have expected to see for an event this size.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, it was not an issue.
Yeah,
it was just the first thing that you notice when you walk in is the tables everywhere.
Right.
And because it's lining the hallways for the most part, it is somewhat ubiquitous when you're there. Yeah,
it was definitely... Yeah. And the other thing... So to supplement probably the theater's concession stand, they brought in a couple food trucks that were also had food outside the venue. So there was a fair option for lunch, so it wasn't just one choice for lunch. That was good. That said, one of our team members who was looking for gluten-free was unable to find anything to eat. So. If you have dietary restrictions, you might want to check out some of the other restaurants that are in that general downtown area surrounding Proctor's and do a little research ahead of time.
Or just come prepared or leave stuff in your car, something.
Yeah, because I don't know we can fault the event runners for that. There's a lot of events that seem to leave out consideration for dietary concerns, but...
Still a thing.
Yes, definitely one that was highlighted for us at this event. All right. So what did we do at Fandom Fest?
So we actually opted to start the day by going to where the celebrities were available for meeting and greeting and autographs.
Yeah, we got there. Yeah, we got there pretty early. And they many of them, not all of them, but most of them were there doing signings. The lines were relatively good. I mean, they're relatively short compared to how
Yes.
they would have been at a larger event for sure.
I think it was actually my suggestion that we go do that first because at other events we've been to, lines tend to get very, very long, particularly once the day picks up. And I don't think I had looked at the schedule either. Oh, that is another side note. Fandom Fest. What are you doing with no schedule and a printout brochure that you're giving to people?
That was a little weird. You know, when you check in and they give you your wristband and they give you the glossy pamphlet, and there was no schedule in it. So we had to go pull up the schedule on our phones. Yeah, that was...
I mean, it's fine. There was a schedule available, but it would have been nice to have if I'm gonna be given something to
right
look through.
For that to have the schedule in it, so that's easily available to everybody. And yeah,
my whole point though, sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but we didn't know when celebrities would be going and doing their professional photo ops or taking breaks, so I just assumed we should probably get in there while we can, which I think was a good call given that I think after you were done meeting a couple people, I know at least one of the celebrities took off for their professional photo shoot. So.
Yeah. So that was. But talking about the schedule, so yeah, if you looked at the schedule, there were at least one, sometimes two things going on at any given slot throughout the day, but usually not in the same space. So usually in any particular space, there'd be something going on, and then there would be some time before the next thing in that space. So they didn't have so many events that the schedule was packed, but it did feel like there was a fairly good selection of things to do at any given point throughout the day.
And we did not really take advantage of, there was a gaming tournament happening, there was board game play happening, there was...
Yeah, there's some tabletop RPGs that were being run in like 4-hour blocks.
Yep.
That felt like that was going to chew up a bit more of our day than we wanted to, but yeah, those were options.
So there were things that were ongoing that we didn't necessarily go explore, just given the time constraints.
Yeah, very true.
Just to your point of, yes, there were things that were spaced out, but also there were things that were going on more long term.
Yeah.
If I can add one more point to that, there was also a fun little arcade area that had a bunch of old pinball and a couple of
retro arcade
arcade games. So that was rather amusing, actually. It was nice to just go do that for 15 minutes in between things to,
Yeah. So there was a cosplay competition, as we mentioned. There was, and it was on a main stage. That was kind of cool.
In an auditorium.
With spotlights and sound system and the whole nine. So that was neat. I think we were surprised by how few entrants there were. And we were trying to figure out if that's because you had to register like 2 weeks before the event. Walk-ons, they did bring in some walk-ons at the end who just literally got to walk the stage. They weren't in the competition.
Just to show off their cosplay.
Yeah, and to fill a little bit of time while the judges were deliberating. So that was a good way to fill some of that time. There's always that time at any cosplay competition. So that was a good way. If there were more of them, that would have filled the time a little bit better. But
Yeah, I think too, neither of us looked at the application process, so I don't know how much of that was a deterrent or not, or if it's just a byproduct of this being their second year and maybe not having a whole lot of people either aware of or interested in the contest. So
yeah, they also seemed to break it into two different competitions because they were judging the first bunch on craftsmanship alone, and then they were judging the second group, I think, just on their performances, not on their cosplays.
I do recall there was at least one person who I think was competing in both, but I could be wrong.
I do not know. That was unclear to me.
Yes, there was a best in show, and then there were awards given in performance and craftsmanship.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, once you split them by craftsmanship and performance, there were not a lot of craftsmanship entries. I think I was surprised by that too. There were maybe half a dozen-ish. There were less than 10.
I feel like there might have been more than that, but still, there was not.
I was surprised by how quickly they said, and that was craftsmanship.
Yes. I think actually, yeah, they didn't have. I don't know if they didn't have any journeymen, maybe? Because
It
they
may have
ended
been
up
the
giving
case.
out
There were a bunch of
two.
novices, and then I think, like 2, maybe 3 that were entering as master.
Right. I just seem to recall, I think
Yeah.
they gave out an extra award in novice because they didn't have enough
And
people
they
in
didn't have a
journeyman.
journeyman con. Yeah. Yeah, there was one of them didn't have any journeyman. I think you're right. I think it was craftsman. Anyway. Yeah, so again, like, it highlights just kind of how small I think the competition was in general compared to others we've seen, even at other small local conventions. I mean, definitely more people at like Saratoga Comic-Con. There was definitely more people at Twin Tiers Comic-Con. Like, we've been to other upstate New York Comic-Cons that just had a lot more people show up for cosplay competition. So again, I think the question was that because the event's new and people didn't know, because the application process, because of, we didn't try to enter, so we don't really know what that looked like or what those barriers may have been. But I hope they can fix it for next year.
Side note, I will say, I know this makes me old. Mad props to the host of the cosplay contest, because not only did they start the cosplay contest with a little performance number, which I appreciated, and they were trying to hype up the crowd, and that was really cool. But they filled all the time they needed to when the judges were taking a while making decisions, and they also handled, I think, things very gracefully when some things did not quite go as according to plan. So I just think that
With the walk-ons.
I think it takes a certain amount of bravery and grace to be able to handle those situations. So
It certainly does.
good job, Magically. And in any case, so that was the cosplay contest. And what else did we go do or take a look at?
There was the artist draw off.
Sketch off.
Sketch off. That's it.
Yeah,
it was a
sketch
sketch off. For charity, there were 4 of the comic book artists that were there. Were given a prompt by the event host to sketch a thing in 15 minutes. I think they only had 15 minutes to do their thing, all while they're having rapid fire questions thrown at them. So that was amusing. I think we were all a little confused because the event description had said that was going to be phase 1, and then phase 2 and 3 were going to fill the rest of the hour, but they did the 15 minutes and then were like, thank you for coming, everybody.
Yes, so the description didn't quite match what we were expecting, which happens, but
Yeah.
there were, if you're interested, there were other events going on, like they had a cosplay dating game later in the evening, like cosplay court.
Yeah, something like that.
Uh,
By then we were needing to go find dinner, but
yes. And as we were just saying, I do think there were just other panels going on for your amusement.
Yeah, like I said earlier, there was at least 1 or 2 things going on at any given hour, but they were kind of spread out. I don't know if they had put them all in like kind of the same couple rooms, if that might have felt easier to find the places where the things were happening or not. I don't know. But like I said, they did make good use of the kind of scattered spaces in the theater that they had access to. So,
yeah, I'm curious to go back actually and see how they grow.
Yeah.
Because they are so new. And I think it takes a lot of effort and coordination to make something like this happen with some level of professionalism or smoothness. So, and that seemed to be pretty in place this year.
That was definitely prevalent. And I think we walked out kind of going, I wonder if this is not the first rodeo for the people that have come together to make this event. If these people are behind some other events that are in the area, or they're coming together from a couple different events or some background, because they definitely did feel like there was a little bit more polish on this event than you would normally expect from a second year
local con.
Yeah, local small scale sort of Comic-Con. So
yeah,
like I said, I'd be interested in going back and seeing how they continue to grow and seeing what guests they can bring in next year and seeing what more cool events and panels they can get on the schedule. And thumbs up.
Yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. Would go back.
Yeah, 4 out of 5.
I would also give it a 4 out of 5. 4 thumbs up.
4 thumbs up.
Ah, there we go. Look at us.
Hey, we have 4 thumbs. We put them all up.
4 thumbs up.
All right. And with that, is it time to roll the die?
It is.
It's time to roll the die. Whoa, time to roll the die. Oh no, it's a 7. What's a 7?
7 is, and remember, it's bigger on the inside. The theater is bigger on the inside than it looks on the outside.
Sure, we'll go with that. See you next time.